It's the FPL USA Press Play podcast. I am back in the host seat. This is at FPL USA Brian, and I am joined by the lovely British guru at FPL_Black Wolf. Dano, good to fucking see you, mate. It's been what, like a month since we potted together?
Feels like it. It's been way too long. I'm
It's
glad to
too
have you
long.
back.
I
You're
was
the
suffering.
international man of mystery.
Oh, the international man of mystery strikes again. Always
You're
love.
never here, dude. You're always on vacation. What's going on?
Look, it's good to mix it up in your life, travel as much as you can, see some places, eat some new cuisines. And yeah, I was in Australia and Thailand for about 15 days. So definitely a great way to kind of end the year. And I was out there for a wedding in Australia. It was actually my first time back since moving. I lived in Sydney from 2015 to 2019. And then yeah, this is the first time I've been back because of COVID and all that other shit. So over 5 years. So great to see friends and family, or friends who I now consider family. And a lot of them are kind of like our age, like 35 to 40, and have had like one or two kids since I left. So good to see the little offspring and a lot of banter in Australia. They got some good view on the lifestyle and everything else. So this was a good trip and met up with some FPL minds as
I
well.
heard. Tell us about it.
The lovely Mira took time out of her day. We had a almost 2.5 hour sit down breakfast and then record a little episode for her YouTube channel. So big shout out to Mira. She's a friend of the show. We're hopefully going to have her on at some point this season, as long as we can make the time change work, because that is one thing when you're on that side of the world. It is what, 16 hours ahead of Los Angeles or something like that. It's pretty crazy. So that
Definitely.
was good. And then met up with some of our mini league mates who are just they all have spent time in London, now live in Sydney, and we tied one on. Oh my goodness. Three espresso martinis deep at 10 p.m. And we lasted at the casino watching both it was Villa and Tottenham, which was like a
Uh-huh.
crazy match. Lots of goals, lots of points for FPL. And then the dull Manchester United and Chelsea 1-1 draw. That's what happened. Yeah, 1-1 draw.
I can't remember.
It,
It's been like 2 weeks, Brian.
I
I
know,
can't remember
right?
yesterday.
But we rolled out of there at 6 a.m. So really good time with shout out to Graham, Uzi, and Kev Johnson, some of my good mates, because that was Monday morning for them. So they're rolling out at the casino. Somebody said he just put his busy work schedule on for like 4 hours so he could take a nap before getting to the email. So yeah, big shout out to those lads. And they nearly bankrupt me when it looked at the bills, because cocktails over there are like 25 Australian dollars, not cheap. So have to I gotta send that invoice over to you and Bucks
Yeah, me and Bucks
instead
had a
of
little
paying the whole
something
thing.
to do with that, I think. If you listen to the last pod.
Yeah, that's right. What have you guys been up to for international break? Have you been enjoying yourself?
Honestly, I've been enjoying the sleep, Brian. Like, as you know, over here on the West Coast, when FPL is on, you're up at 3 a.m., 3:30 a.m.
Too
every single
early.
weekend. Way
Too
too
early.
early. So I kind of enjoy just getting to sleep. I don't bother watching the international games. Pointless things, those. So yeah, catching up on sleep. Not as
Yeah.
exciting as yours, that's for sure.
Good to catch up on some sleep. And you know, I like the Euros. Euros is fun, and you have those cups every 2 years, but the rest of these matches are just ugh.
Nah.
It's a lot. And we have a just massive flag football team being put together. Lots of yellow flags, and that's something we'll touch
Yeah,
upon
they're not real
for
yellow
this
flags, though.
episode. Exactly. But there are a few notables that we'll definitely highlight in this week's episode previewing game week 12. Other news, I also just wanted off the top to highlight the potential blue sky migration by a lot of our followers of the podcast. And we definitely encourage everyone who listens to this pod to check us out on Blue Sky. It's basically Twitter of old before all the gobbledygook took over. And it's very refreshing to just be on a new platform where you can actually have more of your content seen. People are a little bit more engaged, and there's just a lot less sex robots and racism being spewed and mystery posts from random gambling companies that don't even apply to me in California, and all the rest, not to mention the political side of things as well, which is just taken over X. So this was kind of like a perfect storm of the break of obviously international football happening and then no Premier League games happening. So a lot of people have made the move. So I want to get your thoughts on the Blue Sky front.
Yeah, I mean, I was definitely hesitant at first. I'm one of those people that gets a bit nervous when it comes to change with anything, really. So moving to a whole new social media platform after building up quite a large following on Twitter made me a little nervous. But honestly, Blue Sky has been a breath of fresh air this past 3 or 4 days. Like you scroll your feed and it's just FPL, like cat pictures, people posting pictures of themselves on holiday. I don't see any porn. I don't see any political stuff. I don't see people being beheaded on my timeline. It's just an
Jeez.
all round lighter, healthier feel. So it's been really good for me, someone who's, had their fair share of mental health problems lately because of my physical health. So honestly, it's been great. And I hope it continues that way. I hope we get more people over there. And I hope as more users join this platform, it doesn't just turn into another Twitter because honestly, it's been great.
Yeah, I think like you were saying, it's been a fresh breath of air. And when we're trying to engage our FPL community, we want to take the positives and spend a little bit less time with the negative vibes. So just the amount of just gook and trash that Twitter has put into your feed specifically is just stuff that I don't need to frankly deal with on a
Yeah.
daily basis.
And
So
I don't think I really realized how bad it had gotten until I tried this other platform. Because if I make a post now on Blue Sky, all of my responses are, real humans with nice interactions. There's no toxicity. And even if it is, it's just friendly banter the same way we do it on this pod.
yeah, I mean that's the
So
biggest thing, right? It's not just like these random bots coming in spewing nonsense or again like the auto posted porn random
yeah,
like posts. It's quite bizarre what Elon has done to Twitter. So we'll continue to keep our account active on Twitter, but we are hoping to see more and more folks join Blue Sky. And ultimately, that's what it's going to take in order for the platform to continue to evolve. Like right now, they don't have group chat, and that's a big thing that we're hoping will be added in the weeks to come. But just over the last 10 days, they've gone from 9 million users to 19. And
yeah.
that's a massive, massive boost for anybody looking to engage. So that's our piece. You can find us easily. Search at FPL USA Brian, at FPL USA Bucks, who has been reluctant to set it up. He's been dealing with his kids being sick and getting him sick, and that's why he's not in the pod this week. And then, of course, at FPL Black Wolf as well. Now, let's transition. What are we thinking about our game week 11 scores? It feels like a zillion years ago, but let's start with you because you absolutely smashed it and you've
Yeah.
turned your season around. So tell us a little bit more about your ascent, and you have actually passed Bucks in the podcast host ranking. So you love to see that
Feels
after a
good.
very slow start. It's your
Yeah,
time to gloat. He's not here, so trash
there you
Bucks
go.
and big up yourself.
I mean, a couple of weeks ago, I was 3.5 million in the world. I was just feeling really down in the dumps about FPL. So I decided to take that huge -8 that we talked about on the last pod, bringing in Salah, Raul, and Bruno Fernandes. And that honestly could not have gone any better. Both Salah and Bruno Fernandes have destroyed it the past 2 weeks and have shot me all the way up to I think I'm 1.2 million now. And actually within touching distance of the top million, the top 500k. So I can see my season turning around as long as Haaland just doesn't get a fuckload of hat tricks like he did at the start of the season, because that one guy can destroy your season. But yeah, really, it's been due to Bruno Fernandes and Salah captaincy these past 2 game weeks. In game week
Yeah,
11, I finished on 74 points, and I actually could have been a lot higher, Brian, because I had Alexander Arnold and Diego Dalot in my
oh,
defense, and they both came off when their teams got the clean sheets. So that was a rough one to
The
take.
trend thing is like whatever, he got injured, but Dallo, he's
I
plays
know.
90 every week for the last like year, it seems like.
And I could have went
Comes
for
off for
this
a rest.
exactly. I could have went for the cheaper option with the Mazraoui and got the 8 points from him. I could have also have played Fabianski over Raya, which I was very strongly considering. So that alone would have been what, an extra 7, 14 points. I'd have
Ooh.
been sitting on 88 points. But still, I'm happy with the game week.
You have to be. I mean, you're I can't even imagine what percentage your green arrow was, but love to see a big score and obviously highlighting the fact that captaincy really worked out. This was a big swinging doors game week as well
Yes.
because Haaland gets his goal and gets it early. And so you were thinking he might be on for a brace and a 13-point haul times two for captaincy. And you're like, oh, this is going to be, we're going to need some work out of Salah. But we get very lucky because non-Haaland owners like yourself and we get that yellow card for Haaland in the extra time, and that knocks off 3 points. He was going to be on 8 points, and then knocks him all the way down to 5. So that was massive. And then Haaland, again, he's somebody that can crush your game week. Whereas Salah comes in, oh, cheeky double return, 14-pointer. The lad's on fire.
It's
So he's
crazy
my
though.
captain.
Haaland, even with that extra 3 points, that's the difference of like 500,000 paces at my rank. That's how
I believe it.
highly owned he is. So it is scary watching Man City without owning this guy. And they're playing Tottenham at home next. I know we'll get into that later, but I'm nervous. I'm already shitting my pants.
Yeah, it's a tough one. So moving over to my team, I had 64 points. I had a small but meaningful green arrow from 200K to 170K. So my good start to the season continues. Solid cap for 28 points was huge for me. I also have your boy Cunha, a nice 12-pointer to start the game week, and I knew I was getting a green after his solid performance early on. And then the one thing that really hurt my squad was Foden has been a punt, an expensive punt that has not worked out at all. And the Foden to Bruno possible move was something that I was weighing up very much so the whole week before the deadline. I was talking to our guy Connor, and he still had some faith in Foden, and I didn't know what to do, so I just decided to roll the transfer. And unfortunately, he blanks again, and I miss out this massive, massive haul from Bruno. But he's a player that's now in my side because I've already made 3 moves and I've taken my
What?
first hit of the season.
Already? Jeez.
I know this is something that I typically preach against, but price changes were happening like crazy for my targets. So that's a little teaser for later. And yeah, let's transition to Bucks. 51 points, and he owned Bruno. Oof. His team is in the dumps right now. He is like I said, the lowest man on the totem pole. 51 points is a tough one. He's going to need some good luck to come his way. The captaining of Haaland has led to his demise over the last couple weeks, and bags of shit like Trent doing absolutely nothing. I was very fortunate as well. I got off of Trent very early in my team as well, and that's been something that I've been able to swerve. But a player that did way better, of another fellow Jonathan Cohen in our Press Play Premiership League, 92 points. Absolutely incredible. Let's run through it quick. He had Fabianski with 9, Gvardiol with 1, Vandenberg with 1, Anderson at Crystal Palace, 4.3 million, defender, 7 points, Brennan Johnson with 2, and then he gets 28 points from Mo Salah, 17 points from Bruno, 5 from Mbomo, 12 from Cunha, 5 from Raul, and 5 from Haaland. So very impressive game week rank there. 92 points. Well done, Jonathan. He's shooting up into the top of the charts as well. So let's take a break, and then we'll come back, and we're going to just jump right into the matches to target and what we expect from all these flags in our teams. We'll be right back. Game week 12. What do you reckon, mate? Where should we start? Where are the hauls going to come from? And are we going to overcome the jinx, the curse of the international break? Because I feel like the first two, the games and the game weeks have been absolutely shit. So, I wouldn't mind a few teams maybe putting in some goalless performances so we can finally get some clean sheets, but I'm not very high. I think if you get 55 points, you're going to be on a green arrow this week. What are
I
you
think
thinking
so.
for this one?
I'm hoping for a very high scoring week for a lot of people, to be honest. Let's start off with the obvious one. Leicester playing at home to Chelsea. It's the first game of the game week, 4:30 a.m. in the morning here. I don't currently own Cole Palmer,
Ooh.
but I'm going to. There's no way I'm going into this game without owning Cole Palmer. He is one of the players who is yellow flagged, but I know he was pictured in training today. So he's the first guy that nobody should worry about. I'd be highly surprised if he doesn't play 90 minutes in that game. And
Agree with you there.
I see nothing but a strong Chelsea victory here. I think you have to have at least one Chelsea asset for this current run. I think Cole Palmer plus a Jackson or plus even one of their defenders makes sense for this run.
Yeah, I'm not as high on their defense. I think they spend a lot of their time attacking and pushing men forward. So I'm still up in the air if I would spend 4.5 on somebody like Colwell, who has very little goal threat, and we haven't kept enough clean sheets thus far. But like you said, the run is what's very appealing. And Cole Palmer, it's his time to shine. 2 blanks in a row, pretty quiet couple of game weeks. And it's really now's the time for Chelsea to really show their worth and continue to hopefully push for Champions League football. So taking a look at the fantasy football scout ticker, whew, we got Leicester away, Villa at home, Southampton away, Tottenham away, Brentford at home, Everton, Fulham, Ipswich, Crystal Palace, Bournemouth. I mean, it's
Yeah,
a
that run is
massive run.
insane. It's insane.
It's a massive run, and they should pick up at least multiple sets of 3 points from all those matches to come. So Jackson Shout is interesting though. I think for me personally, I like him, but is it worth spending the extra money to go with somebody like Isak, who is really
Yeah,
starting to
probably.
round into form and is going to have those penalties and just the guarantee of minutes? I'm always just a tiny bit wary that as soon as Jackson gets his next yellow card or misses a game and Cuckoo comes in for a big performance, that he could get a run in the side. But so far, he's been the most nailed player next to Palmer, so I can't fault it. And I know Bucks has him in his side right now too.
Yeah. And I think game week 12 is the time where a lot of managers are looking to wildcard. I think if I was wildcarding, I would obviously for sure have Cole Palmer. I might even have like a Robert Sanchez in goal or something like that. Because I really don't
Oh,
mind
Pop
the
the
defensive.
Monster.
Yeah, I
Oh
really don't
my
mind their
God.
defense for this coming run. It's not like we're getting many clean sheets elsewhere. I think
Yeah.
David Raya or Bob the Monster Sanchez, as you call him,
Oh my
are the two
goodness.
picks.
I mean, am I being too pessimistic? They look all right, but they're gonna give up a few big chances every match that I don't know. I don't rate the defense yet.
Yeah, we'll see. Maybe someone like uh, the problem is players like Pedro Neto or Madueke, they're not going to get a lot of minutes over this Christmas period. So I would probably avoid them for that reason. But there's some holes there to be had for sure.
Yeah, I would stay away from all the midfielders not named Cole Palmer. I think it's Palmer, and then it's Jackson, and then probably Colwell is the route that I would be looking at, and definitely for a rotation at the 4-5. I wouldn't want to play him every week. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's all right. It's a good run. So if you're going to take a chance at a player like Colwell, I don't hate it.
So what do you have for this game?
I see I think I just see a 2-1 to Chelsea. I think we've seen Leicester score in almost all their games this season. I think they've scored in like 9 out of 11 or 10 out of 11. So, they're plucky enough, but Chelsea should be able to exploit them. And at home, the crowd is going to urge them to go forward. Cole Palmer on the counterattack, passing to Jackson, getting a PK or something. I could see that play out pretty easily. So Palmer definitely a vice captain shout. Won't be a captain for me. I mean, what are your thoughts on captaining in the early fixture? Does it weigh up on you at all mentally, or is it just part of a larger kind of hoax and myth?
It definitely weighs on me mentally. I think Southampton are playing Liverpool on the Sunday, so that makes me sway a bit more towards Salah. If it was the other way around, I might be tempted to captain Cole Palmer just so I can enjoy that Sunday game a lot more. I think if For me, it's like a 50-50 decision. Therefore, I'm swaying towards Salah purely because of the time slot. Honestly.
Yeah, and honestly, I have to agree with you a little bit there that also knowing that so many people will captain Mo and his EO this week, I think just Southampton are so exploitable. So Mo in 70 minutes can probably score more points than Palmer in 90 if he's indeed fully fit. So I think that that weighs up. And that's also looking at the Monday fixture, which is Newcastle hosting West Ham. I mean, if you have the money to grab Isak over somebody like Nico Jackson or Solanke, I don't mind that either. So
That's a good point.
that could be an interesting way to end your game week with a big 9 to 13 pointer from Isak in that game against the Hammers, who have been just absolutely listless. Oh my God, we got to get Fella on the pod so he can just rant about this team. I thought some of their transactions were decent, but they have been pitiful.
I mean, I don't like their manager because of what he did at Wolves. Like,
Yeah, what year was
I'm
that where Lopetegui or whatever the fuck his name is was at the helm?
that was just a couple of years ago, and
Oh,
he left because he wasn't getting what he was promised by the board, which is fair.
fair enough.
But he had a good squad. He could have took our squad into the top 10 if he just tried harder. Yeah, so I don't like his attitude, and I think West Ham are suffering because of that. They're just woeful defensively. I see a big win for Newcastle in this game, and I'm actually thinking now. I didn't realize it was a Monday game. I'm probably
Yeah.
going into that game with no Newcastle players. Just gonna probably just avoid it completely.
Oof. Yeah, not a huge deal. We don't see many managers with Gordon as well, but Newcastle could have some better days ahead as well. And their run is mixed bag. I know that they will play this easy cupcake fixture versus West Ham first, but then they play, I believe, they play Liverpool in game week 14. So that's on the
Correct.
horizon. Not the end of the world, but just something else to be mindful of. But I think with the pile up and Callum Wilson is nowhere to be seen. So Isak is somebody who's definitely on my watch list.
No, he is. And let's stay on Newcastle for a second because one of the real popular assets I'm seeing people bring in is Lewis Hall. Because he is only 4.4 million. He's really good for rotation to play in these easier home fixtures. I really like that option. If I was wildcarding, I think he would certainly be in my team. And if you're someone like me who at some point needs to downgrade Alexander Arnold, if you want to afford like a Saka or a Palmer or someone like that, then I think Lewis Hall is a decent option.
Yeah, and his XA has been pretty high over the
Yeah,
last handful of matches. He's played 90 minutes in 6 minute or 6 straight matches. So he's obviously finding his footing. And it's funny because I started with Lewis Hall and Isak in my game week one side, and
yeah.
they're just like, 8 to 9 game weeks off the boil, and now they're starting to become relevant. But I think that is another question that we'll tackle later on, is what to do with TAA as managers look to fund midfielder moves. All right, other matches. Let's talk about Arsenal. Are they going to finally get a fucking clean sheet? Do we need to send these defenders back to school and understand how to be a cleaner? Like what's happening here?
Yeah, I have double defense, and they're just killing me
As do
every
I.
single
As do
week.
I.
Yeah, killing me every week. You would think that this would be a clean sheet at home to Nottingham Forest, but then of course Forest have fucking Chris Wood on their team. You just know he's gonna get a goal. So I'm not confident, but if you look at all of those fixtures, I think they are the ones most likely to get a clean sheet this week.
Yeah, I feel like we've seen this big run from Chris Wood, and maybe it continues, maybe it doesn't, but in the
We've
next
been
three
saying that
matches,
every week, though, dude. He scores every week.
I know.
He scored 2 goals, or even 3 goals, I can't remember, in international break for New Zealand. He can't stop scoring.
I mean, who are they playing? A no-name country?
Yeah,
That shouldn't really count for too much, but he's bagging. He's bagging. So I can't fault him too much for that. With that being said, Arsenal defense, they lose Ben White. I don't forget what surgery he has had, but he's supposed to be out for about 10 weeks. So
yeah.
Jurriën Timber, 5.5 million, definitely an option if you are looking to get another piece of their defense, especially like if you didn't have Gabriel or Raya and you were looking to jump on, he's going to be playing a ton of minutes for them coming up. I don't know how attacking he really is, but in the defense, if you don't want to, again, make that goalkeeper transfer, he's somebody that could definitely provide some dividends coming up here with their run as well.
Yeah, I think this is a time where Arsenal are going to really turn it around and start getting clean sheets and big
They
victories
better.
again.
They better. I
I did.
invested on double defense on my wild card. I originally had Saka and Havertz to start the season for the first 5 game weeks, and that was
I
like
know.
doing really well. And then Havertz continued to score. But I mean, Odegaard is back, and I just think
That's what I was going to say.
the whole team, offensively and defensively, should perform a lot better,
It
right?
does. So that's one of the big pieces of news is Odegaard is back, and already in the last game he played the full 90 minutes straight off injury, and he just changed the game completely for them. He just makes them such a better team. So I have some
Yeah, he
questions for you. First of
picked
all,
up the assist, there, seven
exactly.
pointer for fantasy.
First of all, I was going to ask you. Saka is what 10.1 million. Odegaard, what is he? He's 8 point something million. Do you consider Odegaard as an option to get into that Arsenal attack if you don't want to have Havertz or Saka? Because I'm thinking about it at some point.
Or Trossard, like our guy Bucks somehow has in his side.
Who came off injured for Belgium today, by the way.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I mean, from my perspective, it's kind of just a wait and see for me for a couple
Yeah,
game weeks. I'm not really too bullish on their attack right now. And I just want to see them consistently scoring 2 or 3 goals. Right now, it feels like they're putting a lot of 1 goal performances up, and even in Europe as well. So they haven't been as explosive as you'd want them to be. So I don't mind the shout if we feel like he's healthy. I just don't know. Like, it was good to see him play 90, of course, and that's part of the rehab process. Was like, we're not going to put him out there to even play 30. We want him to be fully fit so he can just play each and every game week. So, yeah, Odegaard's going to be in the fold. I mean, he usually is the type of player that's going to get like 6 or 7 goals and like a dozen assists. Where, is Saka's floor worth a 2 million plus difference? It's TBD, but I just
it
haven't seen
is.
enough from their attack right now. We want them to turn it around because their assets are popular in FPL, and it's probably better to have a 3-way race for the title as well, just for the neutral fan. But I'm not seeing
Yeah.
enough out of them right now.
I mean, they have a few difficult fixtures, but their run all the way up until what game week 28 is decent, other than the Man City game. Um, the thing I'm thinking about Odegaard is not only his price is good, but also I'm wondering if the new changes to the bonus system are going to really benefit him, and he's going to be someone who gets 1 assist, and that's like effectively a 6 point assist.
Yeah, that's
So
fair.
I am going to keep my eye on him for a couple of weeks, but I'd be tempted to go there just to save that extra 2 million.
3.6% owned, so definitely very low on the ownership. So any points you get from him are going to go way up in the rankings.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
And I think it's also, there's Bruno has a couple of good fixtures coming up. Then he has a mixed bag. So if anybody is put off by the game week 14 away to Arsenal, game week 15 home to Forest, and then game week 16 away to City, if anybody's looking to hop off of Bruno, you could go Odegaard in one move, which I think is also very appealing for their change in fixtures. So something else to
Yeah.
keep in mind.
And then lastly on Arsenal, Saka, yellow flag. He's fine, right?
Is he fine? I mean,
I don't know. Surely.
I think he should have been healed over this break, but he did come off. What was it, in like 50 some minute?
No, you're expecting me to remember like a long time ago.
Let me look this up. I thought he came
Yeah,
off
let's
like
look it up.
really early in the last game. Oh no, I lied. He came off in the 80th minute.
Yeah, he's fine. He's fine.
Yeah.
It's just another Saka injury. I'd be
Yeah.
surprised if he doesn't play.
He did miss the Bournemouth match though, so
True.
that was true.
We'll
Yeah,
see.
I think I would still be starting him with confidence if you own him. Like, it's not worth moving out that player. You should have a decent bench player to sub in, and he's a player that most managers will covet coming up, so it doesn't make sense to move off of him with a transfer.
Yeah. The next
Yeah.
game I want to cover is Everton at home to Brentford. And the reason I want to cover that is
Oh
because,
wow, a barn buster.
well, the reason I want to cover that is because both Wisa and Mbumo pulled out of international duty and are both on yellow flags right now. I own them both, and they're also quite highly owned assets. So I think it's worth addressing that. I think they'll both be fine. I think it's another case of they don't want to play international, they want to recover from little knocks. But it's one to keep an eye on, and the press conferences. At time of recording, we haven't heard anything about their fitness. So, as an owner of both, I'm really hoping they're fine.
Do you have to start both this week in your squad?
I have to start at least one.
Okay. Yeah, one is interesting. I'm just kind of curious where you go into the Everton match, they're just kicking the shit out of people's shins and doing a little voodoo. And if they're not 100%, they could easily be knocked down quite a bit. So just something to keep in mind. But I mean, they're both knocks, right? They're not actual injuries from what I've seen. So I
Yeah, I
would
don't think
expect them
so.
both to play.
I think so.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I think an interesting match this week is going to be Bournemouth versus Brighton, where both teams are kind of firmly mid-table and will probably think that they could get 3 points out of this one. And that's what happened last week when Bournemouth kind of were all over the shop, right? So, what are your thoughts on this match? Semenyo, maybe João Ladro back on the menu,
I know.
11 pointer off the bench, Max Bones in the 30
Crazy.
minutes.
I mean, Semenyo is another player on a yellow flag, another player who I expect to be totally fine. But I think he's integral to their attack. So hopefully he is fine for them. But yeah, Brighton having João Pedro back is huge. You saw the difference he made when he came on against Man City. And he's only, what, 5 point... Is he still 5.4 million? That's ridiculously cheap for a guy who's on penalties for Brighton and he's such a good player and who their manager clearly loves.
Yep.
So, wild card, João Pedro is a nailed on choice for me. I think Brighton win this one, but I see both teams scoring.
Yeah, Brighton's run coming up here will make him very attractive. And honestly, I think I rate, we were talking about cheap defenders earlier, but I would definitely rate going with a defender from Brighton over a defender from Chelsea. They have Bournemouth, Southampton, Fulham, Leicester, Crystal Palace, West Ham, Brentford in the next 6 or 7 matches.
Yeah.
Like that is
And
a great run.
we know Lewis Dunk is probably going to come back from injury in the next couple of weeks. He's gone down to 4.4 million, so he's potentially an option. I did see he didn't train this week though, so that makes me a bit nervous. Plus, you're relying on his bullet headers, which he hasn't got many of this season.
Yeah, but 4.4
It's a
that's
good
like,
price. Yeah.
I think between him, you got Colwill. I think somebody like Anderson is 4.3 or 4.4 at Fulham. Like there are enough options to downgrade your defenders to free up money. So that
Yeah.
we're spoiled for choice right now. Like I'm not expecting huge returns out of them, but these guys are going to crop up with a few goals and clean sheets over the next handful of weeks, and we're just not getting that at all with the premiums outside of Gavardiol, who's went on his goal scoring tear, which to throw back to other pods, oh my God, the slander that you guys were just complaining and slandering the Croatian sensation. How
He
dare
kills
you?
me. He
Came
kills me
straight
every
into my
week.
side and wild card, fucking scores 3 out of 4 game weeks like a good lad, gets a clean sheet in Max Bones. Oh, he's a god. Of
He even scored for Croatia today. The guy just can't stop
course.
scoring. Pisses
If
me.
if City can get some of their defenders healthy, then he can press up higher, but he needs to. Like he literally is a massive goal threat and has like that instinct that some of the other attacking midfielders for them just don't have right now, right? That
Yeah.
clinical nature. I mean, obviously he's not going to get a ton of big chances, but he's been incredible for my FPL team. So I'm glad to own him because he's my only City asset now. So I'm watching City with a much different lens coming up here for the holiday stretch.
So how do you think that game goes against Tottenham this weekend?
Yeah, let's pivot there. I mean, Spurs have always played City very tough,
Yeah.
and obviously Son is somebody who loves to hit on the counter. I expect this one to be there to be goals in this. I don't see either defense keeping the big chances out. So 2-2, maybe a 3-2. There should be goals, right? Is KDB playing? I think that's a big question for me because we haven't seen a lot enough action out of City. We haven't seen their ruthless attacking nature. Can he help spurn the rest of the team on to new heights that they desperately need? I mean, how many matches have they lost in a row? Fucking four?
Yeah,
Kidding me? 4 matches under a Pep team? Ooh,
it's rough. But this game has got a Haaland and Foden Hall written all over it. You just know
gross.
it has.
Gross. You're gonna pain me with the Foden haul after I held him for like 5 game weeks.
Well, no, I'm because I'm probably doing something similar with Sun. I have Sun right now, but Sun is kind of my only way to get in Cole Palmer. Like
Yeah.
I don't really want to take out Son before he plays Man City when I think he can get a goal, but I also don't want to go without Cole Palmer.
Yeah, you got to play the fixture there, and
I
you're
have
gonna
to.
hold. You're gonna have Palmer for the long term, so you may as well
Exactly.
just grab him now. When I mean, City going away to City is still very, very tough. Like City on the road haven't been playing well, but City at home at the Etihad is still going to be a decent shout for a clean sheet, to be honest. But I don't. I probably let me take that back. Probably not a clean sheet, but it's a harder fixture for Sun.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, let's transition to Wolves corner here. Wolves travel to play at Craven Cottage versus Fulham. What do you reckon here, Dan? This is a cagey match. I'm a little worried about how the Wolves are going to perform.
Yeah. First of all, though, we finally got the victory. Our first victory of the season. We beat Southampton. Oh my
You are
goodness.
still beaming this whole IB, just 3 points. Wow.
I mean, I know it was only Southampton, but that was a must-win game. We had to win that game. If we lost that, my mood would be a lot different right now.
The
Um,
first clean sheet in 20 plus matches from them.
yeah, it's insane, and I expect that probably to be our last one in a while. um,
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I got the 8 Nori 6 pointer the hard way. Like I was not expecting him to clean, so
no,
getting the 6 pointer on a clean sheet, they'll probably have maybe 4 clean sheets the whole season. So I was enjoying the 6 pointer.
yeah. I mean, in all seriousness, though, we still played really poorly. I was not happy with that performance. I think the only reason Gary O'Neill is still at the club is because we got the victory. Because we played quite poorly, and Southampton probably should have scored 1 or 2 goals. So going away to Fulham, I'm a little nervous. I think we can win it, but having an in-form Raul Jimenez playing against his old team at home, I'm nervous. I can see him scoring this game. He's in my fantasy team, and I hope he blanks. But I
You're
don't see
starting
it.
it, I assume.
Yeah, I have to.
You have to. Yeah.
I have to.
And ESR nearly braced. He was just called offside in the last
Yeah.
match. He puts up a massive, I believe, 10 or 11 pointer last week. That was a player for me who I had up until my wild card and I had shipped off. And I definitely fell down the ranks because he's highly owned for managers who have been playing him maybe over somebody like Semenyo or Rogers. So he's a player that could also put up some returns in this match.
Yeah, I was surprised at how highly owned he was when he got that.
Right?
When
Right?
he went up to 11 points, I was like, "What? I've gone down like 500,000 places. How does that happen?" I didn't realize he's 30 something percent. I think it is insane.
I mean, good for him. I'm happy for him, to be honest. Like he
Yeah,
was
yeah.
never going to be integral to Arsenal, so to see him stay in London and like hopefully stay healthy, that's always been his biggest thing. Like he hasn't been the most healthy player during his time at Arsenal. So, but yeah, I guess apparently I got to fear some managers in front of me getting points from him this week.
Yeah. I mean, I see this game being a score draw or a narrow Fulham victory, if I'm completely honest. Um, Wolves look very good offensively, mainly because of Mateus Cunha. That guy is just insanely good. I can see him
This, I
getting
mean,
another goal.
this might be the last year you have him on your team, so enjoy it while it lasts,
It will
right?
be. It will.
I
The
mean,
only
he's
thing,
just a cut above the rest of the players in terms of pedigree and talent. Like I
no,
could
he
see him
is.
at a Champions League squad very soon if you can get a
Oh
big
yeah,
fee for him.
he deserves to be at Champions League team for sure. I see it happening. The only thing that would make him stay, kind of similar to Neto and Neves, how they stayed a bit longer than they should have, is because he clearly loves the club. He loves his home. He
Yeah,
loves the fans. It's the one thing that makes me think he might stay an extra season, but I doubt it.
yeah, enjoy it while you can. And I
Yeah.
believe you have a signed jersey for me as well. Is that something I saw on the socials?
I have teamed up with signed football shirts on X and Blue Sky now also. So
That
I
is
have a
that is a very smart company to partner with the likes of Black Wolf.
yeah, I have a signed Mateus Cunha shirt to give away. I unfortunately cannot win it myself, but all you have to do is find my post on X or Blue Sky, guess how many goals Mateus Cunha will score or assists, and at the I think it's November 30th, I said I will do a random draw, and the winner will be sent a signed Mateus Cunha 24-25 Wolves away shirt. And
Oh,
if it's you,
beautiful.
Brian, you're sending it straight to me.
Oh man, happy holidays from Black Wolf and the sponsor. We love to see that. So check
Yeah.
that out on X or on Blue Sky and get involved there. All right, just a few more matches to talk about, and then we will end this segment. Let's talk about our expectations of Liverpool playing away to Southampton. Solid cap has been something we've already highlighted. Most likely start all of your assets, but right now a little bit worried. No Trent most likely for this match. What's your read there on the Trent Alexander Arnold experience so far?
Yeah, it's been rough owning him, hasn't it? I mean, I think they said it was a minor hamstring, which rules him out for a couple of weeks, which means he might be fit for this game. However, I think even if he is fit, they're probably going to give him a rest because then they have Man City and they have the Champions League. So I highly doubt Trent plays this game. I have him in my team. Um, I think if you're someone who has two free transfers and you own Alexander Arnold, I think downgrading him this week makes sense. I probably cannot do it because I only have one free transfer and I need to get in Cole Palmer. But if you have the luxury of multiple transfers, I think it's a no-brainer to take Alexander Arnold out, to be honest. Bring him back in once he's firing again. Regardless, I see a very high-scoring game for Liverpool here because Southampton are without Ramsdale.
Ugh.
So
Who's in goal? McCarthy?
I don't know who their backup is anymore, probably,
Nobody
but
knows.
they're without Ramsdale. They're also without the is it Bednarek who got injured? We should know more if we have a professional pod here, but I just know they have two major injuries.
We're semi-pro. Come on,
Yeah, we're
semi-pro.
semi-pro.
I'm not watching enough Southampton football other than
True.
just cheering on and rooting on my captain when they play. So
I
Liverpool,
believe it's
this is a
Bednarek and Ramsdale who are both injured for this game.
3-0 Liverpool.
4-0 Liverpool.
So I'll at least 10 points then, right?
Hopefully, he's going to be
Yeah,
my captain. So hopefully, I see
love
I
it.
see Darwin getting a couple of goals in this one for some
Oh,
reason. I think
cheeky
it's a good
Darwin.
game for him. I think if you own Darwin, you keep him for this game.
Oh, have to. If
Yeah,
for some reason you do, you have to for sure.
some people
And
do.
then lastly, Man U at Ipswich. Kind of the late game on Sunday.
Yeah.
Is this a trap game at all, or do we expect Man U to put up another good performance against a promoted team? I mean, it's nice to play both of these fucking slag off teams back to
Yeah.
back, right? Oh,
It
what a
could be a
joy!
trap game, but they have their new manager bounce. I hope it's not a trap game because I have two Man
This is
United
this
assets
will be
now.
his first match, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I think Bruno Fernandes, he got a yellow card for Portugal, so he didn't play their second game. So he's going to be
Oh,
fully
love
fit
that.
and fine. So Bruno Fernandes is a great asset to have for this game. I also own Diego Dallo now, who I'm already worried about after bringing him last week.
Did
But
he
he
play for
also
Portugal on the break?
he played the first game 90 minutes, and he came on the second game for like the last 10 minutes. So I
Yeah,
think
that's good.
Dallo should hopefully start this game and last at least 60 minutes. And then maybe Ipswich can score once he comes off. But I don't know.
Man, he came off early, and you never want to come off early.
Yeah, that's true. The player I'd be worried about in this game is I know a lot of people own Garnacho, and he's a bit of a concern now. Now they have Ahmed Diallo, who's playing really, really well. A lot of people seem to think he's gone above Garnacho in the pecking order. So I'd be a little concerned if I'm a Garnacho owner. I'd still play him, of course, but I wouldn't be surprised if he's benched.
Yeah, I want to wait and see what the new manager does with the lineups, right? Like
Yeah.
Bruno is going to be a constant. We think Hoyland's going to start up top, and the wings, like Rashford's played pretty mediocrely. He's got like one goal and a couple assists on the season, so it's just very much revolving doors right now for their wingers.
I mean, I don't know what he's going to do because Amarin usually plays five at the back with two wing backs. So I don't know if he's gonna have those wider players now. He's probably gonna have the focal striker with the two players behind him.
Hmm. Okay.
But I
Okay.
don't know what he's gonna do. I'm not a Man United fan, but you know, I'm
Yeah,
hoping
is like Mason Mount going to come back into that side to support the striker then if they're
he
going to play
could. I don't
wing-backs?
know. But
I just don't know if they have the personnel to completely play that. So it'll be interesting if he tries to. It might work against Ipswich, but then, if you play that new formation against Liverpool and those game weeks coming up, it could be dicey.
yeah, I mean, I saw some analysis on Twitter of how they set up in training. They did a training game, and he did set them up with the five at the back, with the two behind the striker. Obviously, they were missing all of their players on international break, but they had like Rashford up top, and they had
Hmm.
Mount behind him, and Diallo behind him. So
Interesting. All right. More to come from
we'll see
the
how that
Man
plays
U
out.
Devils. That's right.
Yeah.
All right. Let's take our next break and we're going to come back and answer a few community questions and then preview our transfer plans and captaincy shouts. We'll be right back.
All right, let's go to the mailbag, as you like to say.
Mailbag.
Mailbag. Let's start with. Okay, compose yourself. Let's start with Barrister FPL, aka Jeremy. He asks Haaland and Rogers for Isaac and Mo. 2 free transfers and exact money. Now, at time of recording, he probably has exact money, but by the time this is released, he might not be able to afford that. I don't know about this one. I love Isaac for the run. Obviously, I love Mo as well. I just don't know if it's the right time to take out Haaland. I really don't.
It's very tricky. It's
It
very
is
tricky
tricky.
because you could definitely see the likes of Haaland coming with a brace this week. I would not be surprised if he gets a 13-pointer. We're still like up in the air on who's going to be starting for Spurs center backs wise, right? Like, is Dragusin going to play?
Probably. Ben
If
Davis
the
and Dragusin, probably. Who
ugh,
knows?
yikes, yeah, we don't know if Van de Ven's back. It's rough. It's rough out there. So
It is
this
like
this this one's tough, man.
it could easily end with Haaland getting a hat trick and Mo Salah getting a blank. Even last week, Mo Salah got that late goal. Haaland missed a fuckload of chances again. It could very easily be the other way around. Easily.
That's the thing about making these moves. Like, you have to make the move and just stick with it for like 8+ game weeks because there is going to be variance at some point. Like, Mo is going to get a rest. They have a lot of Champions League matches coming up. Like, eventually he'll get a rest and then he'll get a 1-point cameo captains, and then you're going to see Haaland come in with a brace. It's going to swing back at some point, especially if
Yeah,
KDB can continue. If KDB is playing in this match, I would kind of lean towards holding and then reassessing next game week and just rolling your transfer. Rogers got called up amidst all the other players dropping out for England, so he's very highly thought of by the three Lions. But he's playing at home to Crystal Palace. He could easily get a 6 or 7
yeah, it's
pointer in
tough.
that match, right?
It's
Yeah.
tough. For me, this question it's more than just Haaland versus Mo Salah. It's what you can do with that funds that you save from going from Haaland to Salah. So he's clearly basically upgrading Rogers to Isaac, and he's changing his structure of his team. I think in
Right.
isolation, I would much prefer Isaac than Morgan Rogers. So
Yep. And that's
you know,
another question from Corey, aka the Run CMC. He was just asking, is it time to sell Haaland this week? So if you have 2 free
depends.
transfers, I say go for it. Isak is a player that is going to, I think, continue to get a lot of 6 to 13 pointers in this run, and he looks healthy, and he's just a class player that honestly we were all on in game week 1, and they've just maybe didn't start off like we thought they might. But I think that in that case, Isak is a player. He's on pens, and then you balance that out with Salah, who he just keeps delivering the bonus points as well. Like, he's taking less big chances, but he's creating more XA
Yeah, yeah,
and just putting himself in positions to hit on the counter once, and then setting up Darwin or Diaz, and he's just mopping up those bonus points. Whereas we see Haaland right now through this tough patch is not doing so.
So
I
for
say go
me,
for it.
I definitely wouldn't take out Haaland for a hit. That's for sure. And I definitely wouldn't take out Haaland
Agree there. Agree there.
just because he hasn't been scoring. I wouldn't take him out for that reason. I would only take him out, like you said, if I had two free transfers and the other transfer I was making gives me a lot more upside. That's the only reason I would do it. Otherwise, it's pointless to me.
Good shout. All right, next up, at my Cayman fan, Matt asks, based on what we know so far, which international break injury concerns us the most?
I mean, do we
I think
count?
these are a lot of false flags, right?
Yeah, I wouldn't worry about any of the yellow flags. I know Trent was a pre-international break injury, and he's kind of an orange flag. So if you're including Trent in that, I think he's the biggest worry. I think everyone else will be fine, to be honest.
And that's actually where co-host at FPL USA Bucks also sends in a question to engage with us since he can't be here. Yes, is selling Trent a better way to free up funds this week instead of selling Haaland? I would have to say now's the time to move off of Trent and just, I mean, there's no reason to play him and rush him back from injury against Southampton. Connor Bradley is a player of the future, quite frankly, because we think Trent is going to fuck off to Real Madrid next year on a free, right? And so Connor
Probably.
Bradley is somebody that, especially as the season goes on, I would not be surprised if he starts getting a lot more minutes as Liverpool look to, continue in those different cup competitions as well. So I would say move off of TAA for sure. And we've listed some of the defenders that would make sense. Hall, 4.4 million, Colwell, Dunk, Anderson. I think like even Kansa is going to get a drop. I think he's like sub 4.5 million. He's like, steady, reliable player.
I Nari is still a decent shout, even though he's on 4 yellow cards.
Yeah.
They've
Actually,
still got a great run.
Mazarawi is probably a really solid pick. It looks like. I don't know if he's going to play in that wing back slot completely. So that's something to wait and see. But he's been mopping up bonus, like you said earlier, coming off an 8-pointer, and just he looks up for it. Like he's been making the extra effort on some of his tackles and being in the right place. So I like what I've seen from him.
Yeah, I'd only bring in a Man United defender if you're going to rotate him with someone. Because
Yeah,
they have Arsenal away and Man City away. You're not going to want to play them in those games. So I either wouldn't bring them in, or I would only bring them in if you have good players to play in 14 and 16.
great advice there. Great advice there. All right. Well, thank you everyone to engaging with us on Blue Sky and on X and everywhere else in our group chat as well. So we appreciate you guys being part of the show each and every game week. Now let's transition out of the mailbag into our transfer plans and captaincy shouts. Let's do the damn thing, Dan. What you got for us? What you got?
Yeah, my team's a little bit of a mess because I have Trent Alexander-Arnold. However, like I said earlier, I don't have Cole Palmer. And I just think that has to be my transfer in. There's no way I want to go into this next game without Cole Palmer. So I think Hwang Min Son to Cole Palmer is definitely going to happen. If I want to do anything else, it would be a hit. But I think I'm just going to hope that Rico Lewis plays at home to Tottenham and I get a lucky clean sheet or something. Worst case scenario, he doesn't play, Trent doesn't play, and I get 0 points for a defender, which a lot of these defenders are getting anyway.
Yeah, they're getting 1 or 2 points max
exactly.
anyway.
I've had a huge green arrow the past 2 weeks with multiple defenders getting 1 point, so I'm not too worried about that. But I need to chase that upside of having Cole Palmer away to Leicester. So that's probably what I'm going to do.
That makes sense. I definitely rate it. You've already positioned yourself to be in the good graces with Bruno. You're going to start him for a couple of weeks. That's a player that I frankly have brought in this week. So you're ahead of the curve. I'm chasing there. And yeah, I mean, Palmer is going to be up for a double, triple haul coming up soon. So triple, double threat, as they say.
Exactly. And Salah captain. I highly doubt I'll change that.
Easy. Piece of cake.
Easy.
And then we just need some clean sheets from Arsenal. And then we'll be at 75 plus points, right?
That'd be nice. Just a clean sheet from Arsenal would just be enough for a green arrow, I feel, this week. as long as Haaland stays quiet.
Haaland 9 or less points, and we can get greens. But if he creeps up into brace categories, then we're gonna be looking at gray dots, I think, and that's gonna be
Dude,
most weeks. Honestly, I feel like that's gonna be most weeks until we get lucky with a few of our other peripheral picks.
yeah, but even 9 points for Haaland, that's going to be a massive, massive
Ugh.
rank hit. 9 points is a lot.
Yeah. All right, moving to my team, I have taken my first hit of the season straight into my
Ooh.
veins. I did not want to be in this position, but I just found myself off to a pretty good start, 170K. And I just figured I can spot 4 points at Dan and Bucks and lessen my lead. So they would like that. That's my early Christmas gift to both of you,
Oh,
you
thank you.
know?
So kind.
So what I did is I actually moved off the man who got me there. Mr. Chris Wood is
I knew
yanked
it. I
onto
could tell.
my side.
I could tell from how you spoke about him earlier.
I know. He did a fucking job for me though. He's a good soldier. I appreciate his efforts. I just looked at the upcoming matches that he has, and I'm not going to want to start him versus Arsenal or City. I believe those are two of the tougher fixtures in the league. It's not like he's been getting a ton of chances each and every game week, but he has been just putting away his chances. So if that conversion drops a bit, I think his output will as well. So maybe a little bit more regression to the mean. We'll see. But I brought in João Pedro to help fund my other big moves because I also moved, and these are the big ones. I went Foden to Bruno and DCL all the way up to Isak. And so now when I look at my side, I already have Palmer and Salah, Mbomo, Bruno. Semenyo is my first bench slot. And then up top, I'm going to have Cunha and Isak and João Pedro. So
Yeah, that's a really good move. I like that a
it's
lot.
honestly close to like a lot of wild card templates that I saw. So to
Yeah.
take a -4, my first hit of the season to shore me up, and I just think I can get lucky. Maybe Wood drops off a bit, and then we see a lot of players bring in João Pedro. So I'm not afraid to move on that early. The other move I could have done was to move Flecken to Fabianski to fund the zero point 0.1 that I needed. But I just kind of figured like, well, I don't need to make a goalkeeper transfer. Let's make an impactful transfer that I might want to make down the line. And that would have been João Pedro for Wood or for DCL. So we'll see how it plays out. I'm hopeful. I'm basically skipping Saka though. This route has put
That's
me
fine.
off of Saka. But when I looked at the captaincy matrix ahead, I'm going to captain Mo or captain Palmer for the next like 8 game weeks. So I felt like it wasn't like a massive miss to get a hurt flagged, like kind of semi out of form player in Saka. So that's me.
No, I really rate that move. I think that's an amazing -4. I'm jealous of your team, to be honest.
Oh, thanks, buddy. Yeah, I mean, I got high hopes. I got high hopes. My defense, though, is, I got Raya and Gabrielle. I need a clean sheet there. But this week, I think I'll be starting. That's one question for you. Should I start Eight Nori away to Fulham, or should I start Mikolenko at home to Brentford?
Well, you don't seem to me like the kind of person who hedges their bets. So I would play Aitnari. I think Everton have more chance of keeping a clean sheet at home because
Yep.
Sean Dyche. I don't think Aitnari is going to keep a clean sheet, but he could come away with an assist or a goal and get you lucky there. And again, if he turns out to get 0 points or 1 point, so what? It really
Yeah.
hasn't made that much difference this season.
I think for the X fun, especially after I just got 18 points from Cunha and Eight
Yeah,
Nori, they get another week out here, and
there you
I'll
go.
see how they go. So we will see. All right.
And he just so you know, Aitnari, he was rested in the second game for Algeria, so he'll be
Oh,
fit and raring to
Wolves
go.
Corner.
There
This
you go.
this is the info I need because I have not been tracking Algerian football in quite some time. So
He played the 90 minutes in the first game, and then he played 0 minutes in the second game.
would
But
he
he
bag,
was fit. He was on
did
the
he bag
bench.
a Hattie in the first one though?
No, they conceded a couple of goals, and he just got like 1 point.
That'll probably happen this weekend too. All right, and then lastly, just touching on Bucks, he's gonna have I think 2 free transfers, and he's got a lot of holes in his side. Trent being a big one, Solanke away to City, He's got Trossard, probably yellow or orange flag on the bench. Torres flag. He's got some flags, so I think he will probably make 2 transfers, is my guess, and we'll see what those are on social later in the week. And that's a pod. Woo! Feels good to be back. I had a month off gallivanting around the world as I like to do. So thanks for holding it down, Dan. Good to see you and your smiling face after a 3 points from Wolves. And we look forward to Green Arrows next week. And we are going to also be having a guest from the FPL USA community on next week as well. So good times ahead.
Good times.
Good times. Good times.
Good
All right. See you, buddy.
times.
See ya.